Hey guys, Emily Muccianti here, and today I have a video all about analyzing and interpreting your data. There is a common mistake that teachers often make when it comes to looking at your score reports and your data reports and knowing what to do with that data. And so today we are going to talk about specifically mistakes that we make using the composite scores. But first, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And there should be a little bell icon that if you click the bell, you're going to receive notifications every time I upload a video that may be helpful. And for goodness sakes, drop me a comment, shoot me an email, readingdiva06@gmail.com. I would love to hear what you're doing, what's working, what are you struggling with. Get to know me and let's have a deeper conversation sometime. Okay, so composite scores generally are a type of a number crunch using a formula where the different specific measures that we are collecting out of our universal screening data are compiled into a more robust predictor of a student's overall risk. And we call that a composite score. And we use that score in Acadience, in Dibbles, and I'm sure all the other ones that I'm not familiar with. But it is meant to be a first look at the risk level of your students. But what happens sometimes is that teachers unknowingly or schools unknowingly think that using the composite score to measure growth is the way to go. And that is not true. So I'm going to share a couple of documents with you that I want to make sure are very clear. Again, I am using Acadience. These are straight from their website, information that is publicly accessible. So I'm going to show you something that they say about this. Okay, so here I have pulled up a document. This is the Acadience reading. I believe, I'm trying to see what it actually says. I'm going to link it down below. Again, it's straight from their website. And it talks about the reading composite score. The reading composite score is a combination of multiple Acadience reading scores and provides the best overall estimate of the student's early literacy skills and reading proficiency. And it goes on, you can pause this video and read it, but I want to highlight a couple of points that it says. If you come down here where I highlighted, the Acadience reading measures that are used to calculate the reading composite score vary by grade and time of year. As such, the reading composite score is not comparable across different grades and does not provide a direct measure of growth across grades. For grades K through 2, the RCS is also not comparable across different times of the year and should not be used as an indicator of growth within a grade. Okay, so let me explain this. What that means is the composite score is a culmination of different skills that we are assessing at different points in the year with different cut points. And for some of our grades, particularly grades K2, we are actually moving some skills in mid-year, pulling some skills out. And so the composite score is completely being changed. So we cannot use that as a point of reference for growth. Notice it says, because the logic and procedures used to establish benchmarks are consistent across grades and time of year, the percentage of students at different benchmark status levels can be compared, even though the mean scores are not comparable. So when we are looking at our scores, let me stop sharing. When we are looking at our scores and we are seeing this percentage of students are on target, are at benchmark, are below benchmark, we can compare that, like how many kids are below or at or above benchmark. That band we can compare. What we are saying is that we cannot compare the individual scores of that composite. Let me give you an example. So in kindergarten, at the beginning of the kindergarten window, the beginning of the year window, the students are only being assessed on two measures. We are looking at their letter sound fluency, or I'm sorry, letter naming fluency and first sound fluency. There's only two measures, which means that the composite is only a calculation of those two measures. In the middle of the benchmark or the middle of the year, we add two more. We add phoneme segmentation and we add nonsense word fluency. Now, that beginning of the year composite, which only had these two measures, we are now creating a composite with four measures. We cannot compare those numbers from the beginning to the middle to show growth. Why? It's a completely different formula. So I think this is a common practice, though. The way we actually should be using the composite scores is when you are first beginning to analyze your data. We look to the composite score first and we see, okay, these kids are at risk, these kids are not at risk. Then from that point, we have to look at the individual subtest scores to see what the problem is. Let me show you this. Okay, again, this is straight from the Acadience website. This is from the old ADM system, the Acadience Data Management. So if you are a part of Acadience Learning Online, their updated platform for data collection, your reports look differently, but the concept is still exactly the same. So let me show you what I mean by this. What we have here is a sample. This is a demo, school demo account. None of these names actually exist, so we're not breaching any privacy. But you can see here, I'm looking at a third grade class. And what I see here is the reading composite score. So when I'm first collecting this, and let me see, this is middle of the year. So let's say that it is middle of the year and I am trying to determine who are going to be in my new intervention groups. I start by analyzing the composite score. So I'm looking here, let me change my tool so that you can see this. Make that a different color. Okay. So I am looking here and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of these students in this class are showing some risk level. We have 5 of them are well below benchmark. 2 of them are below benchmark. That is not enough information to determine if they are going to go to intervention or not. Now, the ones that are well below are likely going to need intensive support, but it doesn't tell me enough information about what I need to do instructionally to do with them. So I then have to go over to these individual scores. So you can see we've got the oral reading fluency and the maze. These are the two measures that are collected in third grade. Now, with the oral reading fluency, I am looking at the words correct per minute, the accuracy, the retell, and the retell quality. So 4 different scores. The maze, I am getting 1 score, okay? So I'm looking then at these kids and I can see, okay, Doris, Janice, Todd, and Patrick clearly have a deficit in the oral reading fluency, but I always have to look to accuracy because remember that if students have a low accuracy number, if they are below benchmark or well below benchmark, more than likely they have a phonics need, which means that if I've got kids that are scoring here for phonics 90%, 89% accurate, that's pretty low. I would probably want to come in either with the quick phonics screener. 95% group has a great phonics screener. You can also use some of the placement tests from your phonics curriculum. So if you're using UFly or the phonics lesson library, you can use their placement to determine what area of instruction they need. So I'm looking here, and of course I need my glasses and didn't have those here. So let me see. I was looking at these 7 kids, right? And I can see that, well, Jonathan has, so Jonathan was at 265, yellow. He's in the green, which means he's at benchmark for fluency. He's also at benchmark pretty high for accuracy. So where was his deficit? Well, his deficit was in the retell. He gave 15 words of a retell with that 1 minute read. And he only gave the quality of a 1. So that was the rubric that was adjusted. But I look here to the maze, and again, he is at benchmark. Does this kid need to be in intervention? He's got some risk level, but when I analyze this further, I can see that all of the big markers to me, the fact that he's reading fluently, accurate, and when he's reading silently, he's comprehending it. And the only reason was because he said fewer words with that retell. Me personally, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I do not put kids in intervention simply for a reduced retell score. Not if everything else is all good. That is, remember that a retell is, let's see, what do they say? Moderately correlated to comprehension. Oral reading fluency is highly correlated. So the retell to me is an additional data point, but it is not, I would not put this kid in intervention with these other scores. That is the position that I would take. So if I look though, so I'm looking here at these other data points. Now, granted, we've got, usually our kids in the red are going to absolutely need some intervention for one reason or another. But I also want to glance at these other kids that are in the green. Do I see any risks? And I'm looking here at Terry. Terry has 94% accurate, 88 words correct. Now, again, not enough really to put them in intervention, but I might want to progress monitor Terry because remember that there's still some risk level to slip. So I'm going to keep an eye on that kid. But again, the composite score is just the starting point. Now, if I were looking at this composite score, this was middle of the year, right? And if I wanted to go and see, well, how did these kids perform at the end of the year? I cannot compare those composite scores number by number. What I can compare is the risk level band that they were put in. That I can compare. So we want to make sure that we're using these composite scores accurately. So by using the composite scores accurately, we're actually using the data as it was intended. That's really important. We're collecting a lot of data, right? We are trying to make really good instructional decisions based on the data we're collecting, but it means that we have to use it as it's intended. So when you're a little bit iffy or sketchy on, okay, what do I do with this? Make sure you're going back to your the publishers of your assessment tools and you're reading what it was intended to be used for. That's really important. The composite score can be a powerful first starting point, but it is not where we stop when we're analyzing. That's very, very clear. Okay. So I want to remind you that if you are a new administrator, a new interventionist, a lead teacher coach, and you are working with your school on putting together a robust intervention program and you just don't know where to start, I hope you visit emilymuchanti.com. Check out my course, The Reading Intervention Framework, Developing a Strategic Plan for Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. I walk you through the process, step by step. What do you need to know? What tools are you going to use? There are a lot of templates and resources and things that I provide to help make it a pretty seamless process. Relatively speaking, it's a big charge, but you can do it with the right guidance. Okay, I would love to hear what you're doing with your data. Did you potentially make this common mistake that others make, that even I made at the beginning. How have you rectified that? Drop those comments down below. Don't forget, reach out to me. I love to hear from you. I love to get to know you. readingdiva06@gmail.com. You are welcome to email me. Happy to connect. Thank you for what you do, and bye for now.